They demanded Earth surrender. Census returned population. Only 1,500 Ultramarines? If you are not a heretic, then declare your city of origin. Leave a comment, a like, and subscribe to the Emperor's glory. At the conclusion, rate this tale from 0 to 10. The Emperor protects. The Tau Firecast commander Chassel Mien stared at the scanner readings in disbelief. His mandibles clicked nervously as he reviewed the data for the third time. The planet before them, a blue-green marble the locals called Earth, showed massive cities, sprawling industrial complexes, and clear signs of an advanced civilization. Yet their census probe returned impossible numbers. "Run it again," Mien ordered his subordinate. "Commander, I've—" Nervously. "Again!" The scanner hummed. The results flashed on screen. Total population, 1,500 individuals. All classified as Ultramarines. Menion's auxiliary heart skipped. 1,500 beings controlling an entire world? It defied every principle of the greater good. No species could maintain planetary infrastructure with such numbers. Unless, perhaps their technology is more advanced than we estimated, suggested Shasui Tolku, his aide. Or they're hiding something, Menion replied grimly. Signal the fleet. We proceed with the standard compliance protocol. The Tau Armada, 12 Protector-class cruisers, 40 Castellan frigates, and countless support vessels moved into high orbit. Menion had conquered 17 worlds for the greater good. This would be his confident victory yet. The transmission array crackled to life. Menion straightened his ceremonial armor and began the ritual he'd performed so many times before. "Sirius, unknown inhabitants of the third planet. I am Firecast Commander Chassel Mien of the Tau Empire. We offer you the enlightenment of the greater good. Surrender unconditionally, accept our guidance, and your transition to Tau citizenship will be peaceful. You have 1 rotation to comply." Static. Then a voice, rough and scarred by what sounded like centuries of warfare. "This is Captain Uriel Ventress of the Ultramarines' 4th Company. You will withdraw your fleet from Imperial space immediately, or face the Emperor's wrath." Mien, surprised, blinked. One voice, singular, speaking for an entire world. "I repeat, you have 1,500 individuals against a battle fleet. Logic dictates." Logic? The voice carried an edge of sarcastic amusement that made Mien's skin crawl. "Xenos, you clearly know nothing about Ultramarines. We know no fear. We know no retreat. And you have just threatened Earth." The transmission cut. Mikayan stared at the blank screen. In his 17 conquests, no species had responded with such casual dismissal. Fear, anger, desperate bargaining, those were normal. This calm certainty was unsettling. "Commander," Tolku whispered, "perhaps we should request reinforcements." "Negative. We vastly outnumber them. Begin orbital bombardment of military installations." The first pulse cannon fired. The energy beam, capable of leveling mountains, struck what appeared to be a fortress complex on the planet's largest continent. Mikayan expected to see the structure vaporize. Instead, the beam scattered, harmlessly, against some form of energy barrier. Golden light rippled across the shield's surface, and for a moment, Machian swore he saw the image of a massive armored figure with burning eyes. "Impossible!" he breathed. "What kind of shielding?" "Commander!" The sensor operator's voice cracked with fearful panic. "I'm reading massive energy signatures emerging from the planet's surface." On the tactical display, blue dots began rising from Earth, hundreds of them. They moved with impossible speed, climbing through the atmosphere like missiles. "Fighter craft?" Mien asked. "Negative, sir. They appear to be individual power signatures, human-sized." The first blue dot reached the nearest Tau frigate. The ship's hull erupted in golden fire, then another ship, and another. The dots moved between vessels with supernatural speed, each touch bringing destruction. "All ships, evasive maneuvers!" Mien desperate screamed into his communicator. "Target the individual signatures!" Pulse cannons swiveled to track the blue dots. Ion beams lanced out, particle accelerators fired, missile pods emptied their loads. Nothing connected. The signatures moved like they were dancing between raindrops. A proximity alarm shrieked. Mien spun to see something surprised through the bridge's viewports. A figure in midnight blue armor stood on his ship's hull, somehow surviving in the vacuum of space. The being was massive, easily twice the size of a Tau, and wore elaborate armor covered in golden eagles and purity seals. In its hands was a weapon that looked like a primitive projectile firearm, scaled up to ridiculous proportions. The figure raised its weapon and fired directly at the bridge. Mien's last coherent thought was that the projectile, a mass-reactive explosive round, was, surprised, larger than his head. The bridge exploded in a shower of ceramite and blood. Captain Uriel Ventris maglocked his boots to the Tau cruiser's hull and surveyed the battle around him. His battle brothers moved between enemy vessels like avenging angels, their jump packs trailing fire against the void. Each Ultramarine was a masterwork of genetic engineering and 10 millennia of warfare experience. Each was worth 1,000 lesser warriors. Today, they would prove it. "Brother Pausanias," Uriel voxed to his sergeant, "how goes the purge?" "Efficiently, Captain. The Xenos appear confused by our tactics." Uriel, confident, smiled grimly within his helmet. The Tau expected conventional warfare, ship-to-ship combat, orbital bombardments, logical progression of forces. They couldn't comprehend a species that would launch individual warriors into space with nothing but faith, fury, and jump packs. A Tau fighter swept past, its pulse cannons chattering. The energy bolts splashed harmlessly against Uriel's power armor. He raised his bolt pistol and fired once. The explosive bolt tore through the fighter's cockpit, sending the craft tumbling into the void. "For McCragg!" he aggressively roared. "For the Emperor!" The battle cry echoed across the Vox as his brothers took up the chant. They were Ultramarines, inheritors of Robert Gilliman's legacy, masters of combined arms warfare, and the scions of Ultramar's warrior traditions. But more than that, they were human, and humans did not yield. 30 minutes later, the last Tau ship died in silent fire. Of the mighty armada that had come to conquer Earth, nothing remained but drifting wreckage and the screams of the dying on emergency frequencies. Uriel Ventris stood on the observation deck of the orbital fortress Phalanx, watching his battle brothers return from their victory. Each bore the scars of combat, but none had fallen. The Tau had learned what humanity's enemies always learned eventually, that mankind's greatest strength was not technology or numbers, but the simple, terrible refusal to accept defeat. His vox crackled. "Captain Ventress, we're receiving a priority transmission. Multiple Xenos fleets approaching the system." Uriel's scarred face split into a predatory grin. Word was spreading, it seemed. Good. Let them come. Let them see what happened when someone threatened Earth. Let them learn why, in a galaxy full of horrors, it was humanity that other species feared in their nightmares. The Ultramarines would be waiting. The Crexani Admiral Thisvel studied the holographic display with mounting confusion. The blue-skinned amphibian's gill slits fluttered in agitation as she processed the impossible data streaming across her command center. "Scan again," she ordered her tactical officer, a graceful avian whose feathered crest betrayed his nervousness. "These readings cannot be accurate." The bird-like alien's talons clicked against his control interface. "Admiral, I have run the scan 17 times. The results remain consistent. The human homeworld shows minimal military installations, no orbital defense platforms, and a population reading of approximately 1,500 individuals concentrated in a single continental region." Around the bridge, representatives from the Galactic Liberation Coalition exchanged bewildered glances. The Ursan delegate, massive and brown-furred, growled low in his throat. "This makes no sense. Intelligence suggested Terra housed trillions of the human plague." "Perhaps they evacuated?" suggested the elegant Felinar tactical specialist, her whiskers calm, twitching thoughtfully. "Abandoned their world when they detected our approach?" Admiral Thisvel's webbed fingers drummed against her command chair. The Coalition had spent 3 years preparing for this assault, gathering intelligence on humanity's most defended world. Every projection indicated Terra would be a fortress world, bristling with defensive installations and protected by countless billions of fanatical defenders. Instead, they found surprised. "Life sign analysis confirms it, Admiral," the Avian reported. 1,487 distinct human biosignatures. No artificial intelligence networks, no clone facilities, no hidden bunkers. Just nervous them. The Khanid communications officer, his pointed ears perked forward, looked up from his station. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the surface." "Audio only?" "Negative, ma'am. Full visual. The humans, they wish to speak." Thisvel straightened in her command chair. After encountering human forces across the galaxy, she had developed a healthy respect for their unpredictability. Even in defeat, humans rarely behaved as expected. On screen, the holographic display shimmered, revealing a figure that sent a collective shiver through the bridge crew. The human was massive, encased in blue and white ceramite armor, decorated with golden eagles and sacred scripts. His face was scarred and weathered, with eyes like chips of winter ice. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "I am Captain Marius Calgar of the Ultramarines chapter, Adeptus Astartes. You have entered the Sol system without permission. State your business or depart." The bridge fell silent. Admiral Thisvel had seen recordings of Space Marines before, but confronting one directly was entirely different. The human radiated a presence that seemed to press against her consciousness like a physical weight. "I am Admiral Thisvel of the Galactic Liberation Coalition," she replied, fighting to keep her voice steady. "We have come to liberate Terra from the tyranny of your Imperium. We demand your immediate surrender." The Space Marine's expression did not change. I see. And how many ships comprise your liberation fleet? 734 capital vessels, with appropriate escort squadrons and support craft. Nearly 1 million coalition personnel stand ready to free your world from oppression. For the first time, Captain Calgar's mouth curved into what might generously be called a smile. 1 million soldiers to face 1,500 Ultramarines? Fascinating mathematics. The Ursine delegate leaned forward, his massive frame casting shadows across the bridge. Human, your arrogance blinds you to reality. We possess overwhelming numerical superiority, advanced weaponry, and the moral authority of liberation. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. Death? Calgar's voice carried a note of genuine curiosity. Brother Captain Ventress, are you hearing this? The hologram expanded to show another Space Marine, this one bearing a golden laurel wreath around his helmet. Indeed, Lord Calgar. They speak of our deaths as though such a thing were possible. Curious. Tell me, Xenos, Calgar addressed the Coalition fleet, have you ever studied human history? Admiral Theisvel's gill slits fluttered uncertainly. We are aware of your species' violent tendencies, yes. Violent tendencies? Calgar repeated the words as though tasting them. Brother Ventress, would you classify our tendencies as merely violent? I would say that fails to capture the full scope of our nature, Lord Calgar. The Space Marine captain nodded thoughtfully. Indeed. Admiral Theisvel, allow me to educate you. Terra is not defended by 1,500 Space Marines because that is all we could muster. Terra is defended by 1,500 Space Marines because that is all Terra requires. Impossible, snapped the Felinar tactical specialist. No force, regardless of individual capability, can withstand such overwhelming odds. No? Calgar's icy eyes fixed on her with predatory focus. Tell me, has your coalition ever fought humans before? The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Admiral Theisvel cleared her throat. We have reviewed combat footage from various conflicts. We understand you fight with unconventional methods. Sarcastic. Calgar's laugh was like grinding stone. You have watched recordings and believe you understand us. How quaint. Brother Captain Ventress stepped forward. Lord Calgar, perhaps a demonstration would prove instructive. An excellent suggestion, brother. Admiral, observe your tactical displays. Across the Coalition bridge, alarm klaxons began wailing. The Evian tactical officer's crest flattened against his skull in terror. Admiral, energy signature spiking across the planet's surface. I'm reading Emperor's Mercy. I'm reading weapons charging that shouldn't exist. Desperate, clarify that report, Theisvel demanded. The readings, they're off the scale. Whatever they're powering up, it's generating more energy than our entire fleet combined. On the holographic display, Captain Calgar remained perfectly calm. What you are detecting, Admiral, are the defense systems of the Imperial Palace. They have been dormant for some time, but your arrival has necessitated their activation. Defense systems? The Khaneed communications officer whimpered, his tail tucked between his legs. Admiral, I'm detecting power signatures consistent with star killers. Star killers are theoretical weapons, protested the Ursine delegate. No civilization has the technology to construct such devices. No civilization, agreed Brother Captain Ventress, save humanity. The hologram shifted, showing a wider view of Terra's surface. Massive structures were rising from hidden positions, their surfaces gleaming with unknown technologies. Weapon arrays the size of cities tracked upward toward the coalition fleet. "Impossible!" whispered the Felinar specialist. "Our intelligence indicated Terra was poorly defended." "Your intelligence," Captain Calgar observed, "failed to account for human nature. We do not build defenses where enemies expect them. We build them where they are needed." Admiral Theisvel felt her confidence cracking like ice under pressure. "Even with those weapons, you are still vastly outnumbered. Our ships can absorb tremendous damage." "Can they?" Calgar's tone suggested mild curiosity. "Tell me, Admiral, what do you know of the Horus heresy?" The question seemed to come from nowhere. Theisvel blinked in confusion. "Ancient human history holds little relevance to our current situation." "Ancient history. Yes, I suppose 10,000 years would seem ancient to shorter-lived species." Calgar's scarred face grew thoughtful. "During that conflict, Admiral, loyal Space Marines held the Imperial Palace against traitor forces that numbered in the billions. We held it for 7 years." 7 years? The avian's voice cracked with surprise. 7 years of constant siege warfare, no resupply, no reinforcement, just us, our faith, and our duty. Calgar's eyes hardened. "We held because we are human, and humans do not surrender. We do not retreat. We endure." Brother Captain Ventress added quietly, "And when the siege finally ended, Admiral, it was not because the palace fell. It was because we marched out and destroyed every last traitor who dared defile our sacred soil." The coalition bridge had fallen silent except for the steady beeping of sensor arrays and the soft hum of life support systems. Admiral Theisvel found herself struggling to process what she was hearing. "The humans spoke of impossible things, as though they were simple facts. You speak of legends," she said finally. "Exaggerated tales meant to intimidate." "Legends?" Captain Calgar's smile returned, cold and sharp as a blade. "Brother Ventress, show them the tyrannic war veterans." The hologram expanded again, this time showing Space Marines moving through what appeared to be a training facility. These warriors bore additional honors and decorations, their armor scarred by battles beyond counting. "These are my brothers who survived the tyrannic wars," Calgar explained. "They faced the great devourer itself, alien swarms that consumed entire star systems. They stood against odds that make your million-ship fleet seem quaint." One of the Space Marines looked up as though sensing the observation. His face bore scars that could only have come from acid burns, and his left eye had been replaced with a mechanical augmetic. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of confident, absolute conviction. "For Macragh!" he aggressive roared, raising his bolter skyward. "And for the Emperor!" The cry was taken up by his battle brothers, echoing through the training facility like thunder. "For Macragh! For the Emperor!" Admiral Theisvel felt something cold settle in her stomach. These humans did not sound like defenders preparing for defeat. They sounded like predators eager for prey. "This is madness," the Ursine delegate growled. "No species survives by seeking conflict." "No species except humanity," Captain Calgar corrected. We survive because we embrace what others flee from. We thrive in conditions that would break lesser races. Lesser races? The Felinar specialist's ears flattened in offense. Yes, lesser races. Calgar's tone held no malice, only statement of fact. You came here expecting to find a weakened world defended by desperate survivors. Instead, you found Terra. You found us. The tactical displays around the Coalition bridge continued their ominous countdown as more weapon systems came online across Terra's surface. Defensive satellites, previously invisible to sensors, began decloaking throughout the system. "Admiral," the avian reported in a fearful, trembling voice, "I'm detecting additional human signatures. They're everywhere." "Clarify." "Hidden facilities across the planet are opening. I'm reading massive underground complexes, concealed orbital stations, stealth ships decloaking throughout the system. Admiral, there aren't 1,500 humans defending Terra. There are, surprised, millions." Captain Calgar nodded approvingly. "Ah, you found the rest of us. Excellent sensors, though they took rather longer than expected." Admiral Theisvel stared at the expanding tactical display in growing horror. What had appeared to be a lightly defended world was revealing itself as a fortress beyond imagination. "You deceived us," she accused. "We simply allowed you to see what you expected to see," Brother Captain Ventress replied. "Humans excel at misdirection." "This changes nothing!" The Ursine delegate slammed his massive paw against his chair. "We still possess overwhelming numerical superiority." "Do you?" Calgar's smile widened. "Brother Ventress, please share the final lesson with our guests." The hologram shifted one last time, showing the deep void beyond Terra's orbit. At first, Admiral Theisvel saw nothing but stars and empty space. Then the stars began to move. Ship after ship decloaked from positions throughout the Sol system. Not the crude vessels the Coalition expected, but sleek predators bristling with weapons that defied classification. Each ship bore the blue and white heraldry of the Ultramarines, but these were not ordinary vessels. "Battle barges," Captain Calgar calmly explained. "Strike cruisers, rapid deployment craft specifically designed for one purpose, the complete annihilation of enemy forces." The Coalition fleet found itself surrounded by a naval force that had materialized from apparent nothingness. Admiral Theisvel's tactical officer was now openly weeping as he reported impossible readings. "Admiral, those ships, they're all armed with Nova cannons, lance batteries, torpedo arrays. Each one of them could destroy half our fleet single-handedly. Impossible! Where did they come from?" Captain Calgar's voice carried a note of satisfaction. "They have been waiting, Admiral, waiting for enemies foolish enough to threaten Holy Terra. Today, that wait has ended." The revelation hit Commander Vextar like a plasma bolt to the chest. 1,500? His translator, surprised, struggled with the concept. 1,500 warriors on an entire planet? Sister Superior Celestine, confident, smiled beneath her helmet, the skull servos whirring as she turned to face the Tau delegation. The Emperor's finest need no greater numbers to defend his domain. Ambassador Kethvar's membranes fluttered in distress. "This is impossible! Our intelligence indicated billions of inhabitants. Where are your civilian populations? Your manufacturing centers? Your—" He gestured helplessly at the scarred landscape around them, still smoking from the morning's battle against the advancing reptilian forces. "The Ultramarines are sufficient," came the deep rumble from Brother Captain Ventress as he approached, his armor still dripping with Xenos blood. "We are the Emperor's Astartes. We know no fear." The fox-like Vulpan strategist Corthes had been calculating furiously on his datapad. Wait! You're telling me that 1,500 individuals are holding an entire planetary system against a fleet of 2 million reptilian ships? "We have dealt with worse odds," Sergeant Thaddeus replied matter-of-factly, ejecting a spent bolt magazine. "During the Horus Heresy, we held—" "The Horus what?" screeched Ambassador Kethvar. Sister Celestine's voice carried that particular mixture of devotion and barely contained violence that marked all sororitas. 10,000 years ago, when half our brother legions turned to chaos, we still prevailed. The Emperor protects." The assembled Xenos representatives stared at her in fearful, horrified silence. "Half your armies turned against you?" fearful, whispered the doe-eyed servid diplomat, Gentle runs through forest. "And you still won?" "We purged them all," Brother Ventress stated with the same tone one might use to discuss the weather. "Traitors, heretics, they received the Emperor's mercy through bolt and blade." Kethvar's gills were flapping rapidly now, a sign of extreme agitation among his kind. "This is madness! How do you maintain genetic diversity? How do you reproduce? How do you even feed yourselves?" The Space Marines exchanged glances through their helmet displays, their enhanced physiology allowing perfect coordination without visible signals. "We require confident, little sustenance," Sergeant Thaddeus explained patiently. "Our multilung allows us to breathe in toxic environments. Our Susan membrane permits us to survive without food for months. Our Becher's gland—" "Wait!" interrupted the Ursine clan mother Ironpaw, her translator crackling with emotion. "Did you just say you can survive without food for months?" "Standard survival protocol," Brother Ventress confirmed, "though we prefer not to test the oolitic kidney's limits unnecessarily." The Tau Firecast Shas El Kauyon was running tactical simulations on his battlesuit's cogitator bank. "Commander Vextar, their defensive positioning makes, surprised, no tactical sense." "They've concentrated their forces in positions that should be overrun within hours." Vextar studied the holographic display showing Ultramarines' positions across the continent. Each blue dot represented impossible odds, single squads holding positions that should require entire regiments. "Perhaps they have additional forces we cannot detect?" suggested the avian Scholar Prime Keensight, her crest feathers twitching nervously. Sister Celestine's laughter was like broken glass and hymnal music combined. "What you see is what stands between the Emperor's domain and the Xenos filth. We are enough." A vox crackle interrupted the conversation as Brother Agathon's voice came through on the squad channel, audible to the Xenos through their translators. "Contact. Reptilian hunter clades approaching Grid 77. Approximately 4,000 hostiles." "Acknowledged," Ventress replied calmly. "Squad Tertius, take defensive positions. Remember, the Emperor protects." "Wait!" Kethvar, desperate, lunged forward. 4,000? Your entire squad is what, 10 warriors?" 8, corrected Sergeant Thaddeus. "Brother Maximus fell to Xenos' claws yesterday." 8 against 4,000? The Tau ambassador's translator couldn't handle his desperate emotional outburst, producing feedback squeals. The Ultramarines were already moving, their massive forms striding toward the approaching battle with the inevitability of avalanches. "Should we not call for reinforcements?" asked Corthus desperately. "Strategic withdrawal? Orbital bombardment?" Brother Ventress paused, turning his helmet toward the fox-like alien. "We are Ultramarines. We do not retreat. We do not call for aid when duty calls us forward. We trust in the Emperor and our confident bolter's aim." The sound of the approaching reptilian force was becoming audible now, a grinding, skittering noise like 1,000 armored insects moving in perfect coordination. Their thermal signatures were painting the horizon in the aliens' enhanced vision systems. "This is insane," muttered Ambassador Kethvar. "They're going to die. They're all going to die. And then the entire planet falls to the reptilians." Sister Superior Celestine was checking her bolt pistol's consecrated ammunition. "Death before dishonor. The Emperor's will be done." Scholar Prime Keensight's advanced optical systems were tracking the incoming horde. I count 4,372 individual heat signatures. They're maintaining perfect formation despite the terrain. This level of coordination suggests a sophisticated command structure. "Irrelevant," rumbled Brother Ventress. "We have faced worse." "When?" demanded Shazel Kauyan. "When have 8 individuals faced over 4,000 trained warriors and survived?" The Space Marine's helmet turned toward him with mechanical precision. Macrag, Istvan V, Kalth, Terra itself. Each name was spoken like a prayer, heavy with significance the Xenos couldn't fully grasp. Clan Mother Ironpaw's massive frame was trembling, whether with fear or rage unclear. "I have fought in the Blood Season wars. I have led my people through the Great Hunger. But this is madness beyond madness." The reptilian vanguard was visible now, their scaled forms moving with deadly precision across the blasted landscape. Their energy weapons were charging, the air shimmering with heat distortion. Brother Agathon's voice crackled over the vox again. "Calm. Enemy ET 3 minutes. Requesting permission to engage." "Granted," Ventress replied, "for the Emperor and Gilliman." The response came back immediately. "For the Emperor and Gilliman!" Kethvar was frantically activating his emergency beacon. "I'm calling for immediate evacuation. This position is untenable. We need to retreat to—" His words were cut off as Sister Celestine's gauntleted hand closed over his wrist with gentle but irresistible force. "Faith, Xenos. The Emperor protects his faithful." "Your Emperor isn't here," Kethvar snarled. "He's 10,000 light-years away on Terra." The silence that followed was fearful and terrifying. 8 pairs of enhanced eyes focused on the Tau ambassador with the intensity of targeting lasers. "The Emperor," said Brother Ventress in a voice like grinding stone, "is everywhere. He protects all who serve his will." The first reptilian energy blasts lit up the sky, followed immediately by the distinctive roar of bolter fire. The battle had begun. But instead of taking cover, the Ultramarines advanced. "Impossible!" screamed Shazel Kauyan as his sensors tracked the Marine positions. "They're charging directly into the enemy formation!" The Xenos representatives watched in stunned silence as 8 superhuman warriors crashed into a force 50 times their number like a ceramite avalanche. Bolt shells exploded reptilian heads with methodical precision. Chain swords roared through scaled flesh. The impossible was happening before their eyes. "How?" whispered Gentle Runs Through Forest. "How are they not dead?" Scholar Prime Keensight's optical systems were recording everything, her artificial mind struggling to process tactical impossibility unfolding before them. Their reaction times, their coordination, it's like they're sharing a single consciousness. Sister Celestine was reciting a prayer, her voice carrying clearly over the sounds of battle. "And they shall know no fear, for they are the Emperor's chosen." The reptilian formation was collapsing, their perfect coordination shattered by the sheer impossibility of the Astartes' assault. Centuries of tactical doctrine meant nothing when faced with warriors who simply refused to acknowledge defeat. Ambassador Kethvar's emergency beacon was still flashing. But no evacuation ships were coming. They were witnessing something that would reshape their understanding of warfare forever. The Xenos Alliance Command Center erupted in fearful chaos as their remaining forces fell back to Terra's orbit. Admiral Zethic's mandibles clicked in desperate confusion as his tactical displays showed impossible readings. "How are they doing this?" Commander Vyrak snarled, her reptilian eyes fixed on the holographic battlefield. "We outnumber them 10,000 to 1. They should be extinct." The answer came from an unexpected source. Brother Captain Thaddeus of the Ultramarines, captured 3 days prior, but somehow still broadcasting from their detention facility, his voice cutting through their communications with confidence. "You made one critical error in your intelligence gathering, Xenos. You counted bodies. But you failed to understand what an Ultramarine truly is." On the main screen, they watched in horror as the remaining Ultramarines didn't fall back to defensive positions. Instead, they were advancing. 1,300 transhuman warriors in midnight blue ceramite were systematically dismantling a fleet of millions. "Impossible!" Admiral Zethic shrieked. "Our scanners confirmed it. Only 1,500 humans on Terra. We saw the census data." Brother Captain Thaddeus laughed, the sound echoing through their command ship like a death knell. "Census data? You counted civilians, military personnel, administrators. But tell me, Xenos, did your intelligence account for the fact that we are not merely soldiers? We are the Emperor's angels of death." The tactical display showed something that defied every law of physics and warfare the Alliance understood. Each Ultramarine wasn't just fighting, they were winning. Individual Space Marines were taking on entire battalions and emerging victorious. Their bolt rounds punched through armor that should have been impervious. Their chainswords carved through metal like parchment. "Watch closely," Thaddeus continued, his voice carrying the absolute certainty of 10,000 years of warfare. "Each of my battle brothers is worth approximately 6,666 of your finest warriors. We calculated this ratio during the Horus Heresy. It remains accurate." Commander Vyrak's clawed hands trembled as she observed the surprised mathematics of slaughter unfolding before them. A single Ultramarine Devastator squad was holding off 3 entire enemy divisions. Their heavy bolters never seemed to run out of ammunition. Their targeting never missed. Their resolve never wavered. "This cannot be!" she screamed. "Biology doesn't work this way! Physics doesn't work this way!" "You still don't understand," Brother Captain Thaddeus replied calmly. "We are not bound by your understanding of biology or physics. We are Space Marines. We know no fear. We know no defeat. We are the will of the Emperor made manifest in the materium." The Xenos Alliance's most feared assault troops, the reptilian Shadow Strike Commandos, had just made planetfall near the Ultramarine positions. These were warriors who had conquered 17 star systems, each one a master of stealth and assassination. They moved like ghosts through the ruins of Terra's defense installations, certain that surprise would finally give them the advantage they needed. They were confident. Sergeant Castor of the 2nd Company spotted them before their optical camouflage even fully engaged. His enhanced senses, augmented by decades of battlefield experience, picked up the slight displacement of dust, the barely perceptible heat signatures, the microscopic changes in air pressure. "Contacts, stealth specialists, bearing 270, range 400 meters. He voxed to his squad with the same tone one might use to report the weather. The Shadow Strike Commandos never saw it coming. Bolt rounds found their targets with impossible precision, detonating inside the aliens' bodies with mass reactive fury. In 30 seconds, the unit that had terrorized a dozen worlds was reduced to scorched remains scattered across the battlefield. "How?" Admiral Zethick whispered, his voice breaking. "How do they always know?" Brother Captain Thaddeus's response carried the confident weight of millennia. "We have fought in the eye of terror, Xenos. We have battled demons that exist partially outside reality itself. We have faced enemies that attack from dimensions your science cannot even theorize. Your stealth technology is crude by comparison." The Alliance's commanders watched their forces crumble with growing desperation. Every tactical doctrine, every overwhelming numerical advantage, every technological superiority they possessed meant nothing against enemies who simply refused to acknowledge defeat as a possibility. Brother Marcus of the 3rd Company demonstrated this principle perfectly. His left arm had been severed by a particle beam, his helmet was cracked, and his power armor was leaking coolant from a dozen breaches. By any reasonable medical standard, he should have been unconscious or dead. Instead, he picked up his fallen battle brother's heavy bolter with his remaining arm and continued advancing toward an enemy strongpoint containing 50 times his number. "Burn in the Emperor's light!" he roared, the weapon's recoil threatening to knock him backward. But Space Marines had trained for exactly this scenario. His mag-locked boots held firm against Terra's soil as he poured sanctified death into the alien ranks. The enemy commander at that position, a veteran of 100 campaigns, made the mistake of trying to understand what he was seeing through the lens of conventional warfare. "Target the wounded one first," he ordered his subordinates. "Eliminate the compromised unit." They concentrated their fire on Brother Marcus. Plasma bolts, las beams, and projectile weapons converged on his position. The Ultramarines' power armor finally failed under the sustained assault, systems shutting down one by one. But Brother Marcus didn't stop. His black carapace kept his enhanced physiology functioning even as his armor became a burden. He discarded the damaged plates piece by piece, continuing his advance in the simple blue fatigues worn beneath ceramite. The heavy bolter never stopped firing. "What is he?" fearful, the enemy commander whispered as this impossible human closed the distance between them. Brother Marcus answered with a frag grenade to the command bunker, then followed it personally. The sounds that emerged from within lasted exactly 47 seconds. When they stopped, Brother Marcus emerged, retrieved ammunition from fallen enemies, and continued toward the next target. This scene played out across Terra's surface in variations both subtle and magnificent. Space Marines didn't just fight, they redefined what combat meant. They turned losing positions into victories through sheer refusal to accept defeat. They transformed disadvantageous terrain into kill zones through tactical brilliance honed across 10 millennia of warfare. Admiral Zethick finally understood the scope of his error. "They're not just soldiers," he said, his voice hollow with realization. "They're weapons that think." "Close, but still inaccurate," Brother Captain Thaddeus corrected. "We are the Emperor's will given form. We are what humanity becomes when it stops accepting limitations. Each of us carries within our genetic structure the legacy of the greatest warrior who ever lived. We are the sons of Primarchs, and through them, the grandsons of the Master of Mankind himself." The Xenos Alliance's final gambit came in the form of their planet-killer weapon, a gravitometric device designed to shatter worlds. They positioned it in Terra's upper atmosphere, preparing to destroy the entire planet rather than accept defeat. Brother Captain Thaddeus received the intelligence through his neural implants and made his decision in 0.3 seconds. "All units, new priority target. The Xenos intend to destroy Holy Terra rather than face us in honorable combat. This cannot be permitted." What followed was the most audacious military maneuver in recorded history. The remaining Ultramarines didn't try to evacuate. They didn't try to take cover. They coordinated a simultaneous assault on every enemy position simultaneously, intending to eliminate the threat before it could be activated. 1,300 Space Marines versus several million Xenos, fighting not just for victory, but for the preservation of humanity's birthworld. The mathematics were impossible. The tactics were insane. The outcome was inevitable. Brother Titus of the 4th Company took point on the primary assault against the gravitometric weapon itself. The device was protected by 6 layers of overlapping defensive positions, each one capable of stopping a conventional army. Brother Titus went through them like a bolt through parchment. His approach was direct: move forward, kill everything that opposed the Emperor's will, repeat as necessary. No clever tactics, no complex maneuvers, just the pure application of transhuman might, guided by 10,000 years of refined battlefield doctrine. The first defensive line consisted of automated turrets designed to track and eliminate individual infantry targets. They were effective against normal humans. Brother Titus wasn't normal. His enhanced reflexes allowed him to dodge targeting lasers. His knowledge of weapon systems let him predict firing patterns, and his power armor absorbed hits that would have vaporized lesser beings. He didn't go around the turrets. He went through them, literally. His chainsword carved through metal and circuits with equal ease, reducing sophisticated defensive systems to smoking debris in seconds. The second line was defended by the Alliance's elite shock troops, genetically enhanced warriors who had conquered star systems through their superior physical capabilities. They were faster than baseline humans, stronger than baseline humans, more aggressive than baseline humans. Brother Titus was faster, stronger, and more aggressive than all of them combined. The engagement lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, Brother Titus was still advancing, and the shock troops were a memory. By the time he reached the gravitometric weapon itself, Admiral Zethick was desperate, screaming orders to activate it immediately, regardless of whether their own forces were clear of the blast radius. "Fire it now! Kill them all! I don't care about our casualties!" The weapon powered up. Reality distorting around its activation chambers as forces capable of cracking planets gathered into coherent, destructive potential. Brother Titus had perhaps 30 seconds before Terra was reduced to cosmic debris. He needed 31. Brother Titus didn't try to disarm the weapon. He didn't try to sabotage its systems. He simply walked up to its primary power coupling and hit it with his chainsword. The weapon, designed to destroy worlds, was not designed to function when its primary power coupling had been cut in half by a monomolecular chain blade wielded by someone who understood exactly which component to target. It shut down with a whimper that somehow seemed to echo across the star system. Admiral Zethick stared at his screens in absolute incomprehension. One Space Marine destroyed a planet-killer weapon by hitting it with a sword? Correct, Brother Captain Thaddeus confirmed. Brother Titus is particularly gifted with machinery. He once repaired a land raider using only his combat knife and righteous anger. The Xenos Alliance's remaining forces began to withdraw from Terra's system, their commanders finally understanding that they faced something beyond their comprehension. These weren't soldiers who could be defeated through conventional means. These weren't even enhanced warriors who could be overwhelmed through superior numbers. These were Ultramarines, and Ultramarines do not lose. Commander Virak made one final attempt to salvage something from the disaster. "This isn't over, human. We'll return with more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. We'll bring forces that even you cannot defeat." Brother Captain Thaddeus's response came with the serene confidence of someone who had heard similar threats for 10 millennia. "You may try. But you should understand something first. You faced 1,500 Ultramarines today and found them undefeatable. Are you truly prepared to face 1 million Space Marines from 18 different chapters? Because that is what you will find when you return to Imperial space." The alien commander's reptilian features went pale. 1 million? The Adeptus Astartes numbers approximately 1 million battle brothers across 1,000 chapters. We are the Ultramarines, the largest and most successful chapter, but far from the only one. You have experienced our discipline and tactical acumen. Would you care to test yourself against the Blood Angel's fury, the Imperial Fist's stubborn defense, the Salamander's protective instincts? Admiral Zethick's mandibles clicked in a pattern that his species used to indicate ultimate defeat. We withdraw. The system is yours." "The system was confident, always ours," Brother Captain Thaddeus corrected. "You simply failed to understand that truth until now." As the Xenos Alliance fled Terra's system, their communications filled with panicked discussions about these impossible human warriors, the Ultramarines began the process of recovery and reconstruction. They moved with the same methodical precision they brought to combat, turning post-battle logistics into another demonstration of transhuman efficiency. Brother Marcus, still wearing only his undergarments after discarding his damaged power armor, had somehow acquired a new heavy bolter and was helping to clear debris from the defense installations. Brother Titus was examining the remains of the gravitometric weapon, already composing a technical report that would help Imperial forces counter similar devices in the future. Sergeant Castor was conducting weapons maintenance on his squad's equipment, each motion economical and practiced. To outside observers, they might have appeared to be resting after their victory. In reality, they were preparing for the next battle, because for Space Marines, there was always a next battle. Brother Captain Thaddeus stood on Terra's surface, looking up at the stars where the Xenos fleet had disappeared into the warp. His enhanced senses could still detect the faint electromagnetic signatures of their retreating ships, but he felt no need to pursue them. The lesson had been taught. The message would be carried throughout the galaxy. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was not weak. And when humanity produced its finest warriors, those warriors were confident, utterly, completely, and eternally undefeatable. "Sir," voxed Brother Titus, approaching with his report on the alien weapon, "the Xenos technology shows significant vulnerabilities to conventional Imperial weaponry. I believe we can develop countermeasures for hopeful encounters." Brother Captain Thaddeus nodded approvingly. "Submit your findings to the Tech Marines and begin preparations for departure. Our work here is complete." "Departure, sir? Where are we bound?" Thaddeus, confident, smiled beneath his helmet, the expression invisible but somehow audible in his voice. "Where Space Marines are always bound, brother, toward the next impossible battle that requires winning." The Ultramarines began their departure preparations with the same methodical precision they brought to everything else. They would leave Terra as they had found it, defended, secure, and proof against any enemy foolish enough to test the resolve of the Emperor's finest. In the depths of space, Admiral Zephic transmitted his final report to the Xenos Alliance High Command: "Avoid all systems marked as Imperial territory. The humans are not what they appear to be. They are something far worse. They are unbeatable." The transmission ended with a simple addendum that would echo through alien civilizations for generations to come. Do not awaken the sleeping giant. Do not test the Space Marines. Do not underestimate humanity. Terra remained, as it always had, the beating heart of human civilization, and the Ultramarines moved on, as they always did, toward the next battle, the next victory, the next hopeful triumph in the name of the Emperor of Mankind. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and humanity's greatest warriors thrive in it. For the Emperor, for the Imperium, for Ultramar. They know no fear. Angels fall.